Hi, everybody. My name is Leah, and I just want to send a big welcome to all of you joining this evening on our front of our first summer nights, which is wonderful. But it just feels really special to be here and share this hour together. Hopefully, the start of a really wonderful yoga community and self-care community within the system of UW. So feeling very grateful and thankful for all of you. And it's wonderful that you're here and we get to practice together. Just to start off tonight, a little bit, just a quick intro about myself. I'm Leah. I am a trauma ICU nurse at Harborview. I've been here for about a year and a half. I've been practicing yoga for over 10 years. And about a few months ago, just completed my 200-hour teacher training, which has been a goal of mine for many, many years. So felt very blessed to complete that, especially in the realm of COVID. So that was very heartwarming for me, and it's extra special to then get to share what I've learned with you. As a healthcare provider, I'm just really passionate about trying to build in self-care practices, not just for healthcare professionals, but within our Seattle and UW community and just for everyone as a whole. So thank you again for being here. And just one other element, since we are, on Zoom and not all together in a space, it's a little less interactive, which sometimes is wonderful and sometimes is a little tricky. So feel free to have your video on or off. And then if you've got any, injuries that you have been dealing with or something that just doesn't feel good in your body today, just take a rest on your mat, laying on your back, or come into child's pose or a comfortable seat supported against the wall. Just something that feels good for you and feels restorative and safe. And I can hang around after for a few minutes if you have any specific questions, and we can talk through some of that together. So with that being said, we're going to lay down on our mat to start. So get comfy just for a few moments here. I'm going to sit up for a minute just to project my voice as we settle in. But lay down on your mat. Your legs can be outstretched or your knees can be pointed up to the sky with your feet down on the mat. And then arms can be really in any position that feels good for you. They can be on your belly or down by your side. Just work with what feels right in this moment. And maybe close your eyes if that feels good. Wiggle out some things if you feel a little unsettled, and then kind of settle into a moment of stillness here. And just kind of check in with yourself. Maybe notice where you're feeling tension tonight, where your mind is going. Just bringing some awareness to yourself as we begin class tonight together. I truly feel we like hold our emotions in our body, right? So, if things aren't feeling good, sometimes they're literal physical ailments, and sometimes it's part of our emotional spirit that's involved there too. So this kind of moment of check-in, I think, is so important and something that we could build into our daily practice in a beautiful way. So this is kind of my invitation for starting off practice together tonight. And I always have some type of quote or word in my practice to start off. So I'll share something with you. And then if you have your own intention for practice, I welcome for you to send that, share that now with yourself. So the word on my mind and heart lately is interconnectedness. And I just finished reading this book called Trauma Stewardship. I can share it afterwards. An everyday guide to caring for self while caring for others. And the author, Laura, was a social worker at Harborview, which is my current workplace. And she really dives into trauma exposure and the trauma experience and how that resonates in all of our bodies and impacts like our work life, but our whole life. And she gives some tools and really identifies like a lot of amazing awareness possibilities that we can look inward and find, and then use that information to give to others. So I have a quote from that book that I'll share with you this evening. She says, maintaining and cultivating compassion for oneself and for others is a necessary part of trauma stewardship. It keeps us connected to our most loving values, from which our best selves can shine through. Compassion is connected to humility, to recognizing the ways in which we are both powerful and vulnerable, and to understanding how we are interdependent on one another. So, thinking about maybe this interconnectedness and interdependence within ourselves and our body and with each other is something maybe we can consider for our hour together. And now, just kind of tuning our awareness to our breath as we're laying on our mat. Noticing our belly rise with every inhale, and then sink down, belly towards the spine, towards the mat with every exhale. And just really settling into that rhythmic pattern in its natural state to start. And then we'll slowly together just start to elongate the breath. With every breath, try to stretch that length out. And I'll offer a guided breath work of maybe inhaling for 4 seconds through your nose and gently pausing at the top. And gently exhaling through your nose again for 4 seconds and pausing at the bottom. And so maybe move through that a handful of times, 2 handfuls of times at your own pace. That's just my invitation for you. And in those moments, notice where your mind goes and how your body feels if it changes. Pranayama is what we're doing right now, a breath practice. And in yoga and Buddhism, they talk about prana as this life force. And so the pranayama practice, the breathwork practice, is moving that through our body to create more of life's energy. And we'll take one other full cycle of breath here. And then come into our movement part of practice together. So on your next exhale, hug your knees towards your chest. Maybe rock side to side, kind of massaging out your sacrum. This always feels good for me at the end of a day. And then hug your knees in tightly towards your shoulders and stretch out that left leg now, either all the way down to the mat or press your foot into the mat and have your knee elevated towards the sky. Hugging that right knee deeply towards your right shoulder and rolling out your ankle to one side and then to the other. And then just find stillness for a moment. Inhaling deeply and then exhaling, take your left hand over your right leg and twist it across your body, opening now your your right arm out towards the side, and your gaze follows your right fingertips. Starting with a really nice, easy twist, just starting to warm up our spine and our back. Remembering to breathe in areas of tightness. One more cycle of breath, and then inhaling back to center, hugging that left leg to meet the right, and then stretching out that right leg. Hugging that left knee towards your left shoulder, ankle rolls on this side. Gently bringing some movement, awakening all aspects of our body before we get into our flow. On our next exhale, right hand on top of left thigh, twisting that over our body. Left arm now reaches out long, perpendicular to the mat, and maybe gaze follows that left fingertips. One more deep cycle of breath. On your next inhale, coming back to center again, hugging your knees together a final time. And the knees fall to one side, left or right, whatever is more comfortable. And then slowly start to press yourself up to a seat on the mat. And so I've got a little blanket underneath me. If you need an extra padding, you can always have a little towel or something I oftentimes like it underneath my back and sometimes underneath my knees if we're doing things on our knees. So just keeping that in mind if you've got some tools nearby. So finding a comfortable seat, shrugging your shoulders up towards your ears, creating some tension, and then exhaling, releasing them down and back. 2 more times, stretching up, shoulders to your ears, relaxing them down and back. 1 final time with your breath, inhaling up, exhaling down. Placing your right hand now on top of your head, just gently, bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder, bringing some beautiful length into the left side of your neck. And again, not pressing, pulling on the head, but just making gentle contact to guide it towards one side. And on your next inhale, let that go on that side, coming up to center, and then switching left hand onto the top of the head, left ear towards left shoulder. And after your third breath on this side, coming up to center, intertwining your hands, your fingers, placing them behind your head gently. And again, just tucking chin to chest. Bring some space in the back of your shoulders and neck. And not pushing down, just gently relaxing on the back of your head and neck. Inhaling, coming up, both hands on your knees. Inhaling, hands up above your head to touch. Then exhale, bring your right hand to your side. Really focusing on keeping both your sits bones grounded down to the mat. On our inhale, we're going to reach up and then exhale over to the right side. Nice side stretch, creating a lot of space in our left side body, and our right side kind of crunches over. Again, if you've lifted up this hip, come back a little bit more towards neutral. Inhaling up to the top, hands to touch for just a moment. Exhale, left hand comes down, right arm reaches up, and then exhaling, folding over, creating space in the right side. This to me feels so good for some reason. It's like my everyday stretch. And maybe, this side feels different than the other, and that's okay. We all have that. Just bringing some awareness and noticing to that, no judgment there. And coming up to center, then coming to all fours, so into tabletop position. We're going to have our hands pressed down into the mat and our wrists, elbows, shoulders all aligned. And then our knees are underneath our hips. We're actually going to tuck our toes, sit back onto our heels, kind of walk our hands up, maybe rest them on our thighs. And this just brings a huge stretch, at least for me, on the bottom parts of my feet, which don't normally stretch in this way, so it can be quite intense. A couple of breaths here if you can. If it's too much, just come out of it. One more breath here. And coming back to all fours. So we're in this alignment, grounded pose here. Tops of the feet now pressing down into the mat. Knees under hips. Our back is straight and our arms are straight. We're going to inhale, look up towards the sky. Tip our pelvis also upwards. Bringing our spine down, our belly down into cow pose. And then exhaling opposite side. Tucking your chin to your chest, lifting your spine up to the sky, tucking your tailbone under. Cycling through that 6 times with your breath. You can bring a little bit more movement in here if that feels playful and good for you. Really bringing some movement and lengthening to our spine as we're warming up. One more set here. And then we're back into our tabletop. Bring our knees a little bit further back behind us, shifting our weight now onto our hands and our arms. We're in a half push-up position, and maybe you want to hang here. Maybe it feels good to gently bend your elbows, coming down, hovering on top of the mat. Then inhaling, pressing back up. So that's our half push-up. And then we'll relax back into child's pose. Knees are wide on the mat, sitting back onto our heels. Arms are long, hands are palm into the mat, and forehead gently comes down. For one breath, and inhaling back up. Coming to that same position, we're going to flow through this 3 times. So our second time, bending elbows, coming down. Inhaling, pushing back up. Exhaling, pushing all the way back. Restful child's pose. One more time, coming forward. Hands pressing down firmly. Inhaling back up. In child's pose. Maybe open mouth exhale. Letting that flow go. Lifting your chest up now, just slightly. Walking your hands up towards the left top corner of your mat, and then sink back down into that child's pose. Feel a deep, deep stretch on the right side body. And 3 rounds of breath before lifting up. Walking hands to the top right corner of the mat. Hands on top of one another, and then sinking back down. Left side body stretch. Remembering to breathe deeply. And sending your breath to areas of tightness and tension. Lift back up slightly, coming back into center child's pose, and back up to all 4s. Move your right foot up towards the top of the mat, knees at a 90-degree angle, and then gently move your left knee back a little bit. And hands, if you've got blocks or anything nearby, sometimes it's helpful to just lengthen your arms. So if that's available, you can utilize that here. Or pushing down through your feet and your legs, maybe rising your torso up so that your spine is straight and elongated. Maybe your hands come up above you into our half lunge. And gaze is just gently forward, neck is neutral. Creating a big stretch in our legs, really feeling that strength and heat in our root, in our core. And one more deep breath, and hands come down to touch. On our exhale, straightening that right leg, pushing back, pulling our right toes towards our nose into our half split. Again, blocks or a pillow here can help lift up, raise your arms, give them more length. And really think here, pulling your right hip back to be in line with your left. And then hinging over your hips with a straight back, like you're reaching over towards your right toes. And maybe your leg is bent, that's totally fine. Maybe you can't like pivot too far over, and that's also fine. It's not really how far you go, just the integrity of the pose, a straight spine. And then come forward into that low lunge. We'll flow through that just 2 times. So exhaling, pushing back to half splits for a breath. Inhaling up to low lunge, maybe arms float up. Exhaling, hands down. Leg is straight, pushing back. And coming back up to that low lunge. And then bringing that right knee all the way back. Switching sides. Left foot now comes forward. We're in a 90-degree angle with our ankle and our knee and our hip. Shimmying that right knee back a little bit. Really engaging in your legs. Maybe your hands stay touched to the mat. Maybe they come up to your left thigh or up above. And a few breaths here, just really settling in, creating length again through your spine and a lot of heat in your legs. Neck is neutral. If you're holding tension in your face, just stick out your tongue, make a funny face, let that go. Inhaling your hands down to the mat. Exhaling, start to push back, straightening that left leg now. Toes coming towards your nose, pulling that left hip back behind you. Hinging over these hips, trying to create length in our spine and a deep stretch in our left leg. And one more cycle of breath. And then coming back forward, cycling through a few times at a little faster pace. So inhaling, coming up, exhaling, pushing back. 2 more times. Inhale, up to low lunge. Exhale, hands down to the mat, pushing back. Final time. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming back. And then moving our pelvis into neutral position, bringing your left knee to meet your right knee. We're back in our all fours. We're going to tuck our toes underneath us again. And engage both your toe pads and your hands here, gently lifting your knees up off the mat. Just hovering for a moment, really engaging your core. And then coming back down. We're going to go there again and then push into downward dog from that format. So it's a really accessible way to get into downward dog, from my opinion. So toes are tucked under, hands are engaged into the mat. Hover your knees off again, and then push back like you're sitting onto your heels. Arms are diagonal, and then slowly start to straighten your legs if that's acceptable for you. Maybe pedaling out your feet. Maybe a deep bend in your knees feels best. You can tilt your pelvis up towards the sky. Maybe gently start to straighten your legs a little bit more. And just wiggling through, finding some movement, finding length. Really optimum length in this pose, right? Like hands, arms, core, spine, legs are all elongated and very strong. On your inhale, looking forward by your hands, gentle bend in the knees, and slowly walk your feet up towards your hands. Coming into a forward fold, maybe grabbing onto opposite elbows, and rocking side to side or shaking your head, yes and no. Again, noticing if there's tension in your face. Hands gently come to the mat. Knees are a little bit bent, slowly coming up to standing. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhaling, arms down to the side. Having our right foot in front of us now, and our left foot's going to come back about 3 feet in our high lunge. So we're up on our left toes. Our right foot is in front, knee is bent at a 90 degree, and our shoulders are facing our right toes. Maybe hands come up above head here, or come onto your hips, onto your right leg. Just holding this lunge for a moment, feeling a lot of heat and fire in your core and in your legs. And if our hands are up, keep them up. And then as we pivot, bringing our left heel down to the mat, opening our hips so they're along the long side of our mat, coming into a warrior 2. So arms are now elongated parallel to the ground. Still a 90-degree in that right leg. And gaze gently over your right fingertips. Feeling really strong in this warrior two. Inhale, flip your palm of the right hand to the sky, lifting it up, up, up. Bring your left hand slowly down your left leg. Kind of reaching up and out through your pelvis, almost a gentle back bend into reverse warrior. Another deep breath. Coming back to our warrior two. Bringing our hands to our hips. Moving our left leg back to its initial position. Coming back down with our hands to the mat. And then our right leg back to meet the left, pushing into a downward dog. Deep inhale with your nose. And then an open mouth exhale, letting that go, all that hard, strong work. Again, gazing up now. We're going to bring our left foot forward. I'm going to switch sides so you guys can see me better. Left foot comes forward, right toes are back. Now a 90-degree angle on the left side, really engaging in your legs and your core, slowly coming up to a high lunge. Hands may be on your hips or up towards the sky. Deep breath here. One more time. And then folding down our right heel, arms cartwheel open, our hips, our shoulders are parallel now to the long side of our mat into warrior two on the left side. And gaze is over left fingertips, like you're being pulled out from opposite sides. So arms are strong. Flip over now the left palm, reaching it up towards the sky. Right leg coming down, right hand coming down to your right leg. Gentle back bend as you also lift up into reverse warrior. On your next inhale, coming back to your warrior two. Hands coming to our hips. We're going to pivot again, back on to our upper lunge. Hands coming down. And then bring that right foot to meet with your left. Again, in a forward fold for a moment. Deep breath in, feeling wiggly, let go, release tension in your shoulders and your arms. You can shake it out. Gentle bend in your knees, really engaging your legs, slowly coming up to standing. Palms come up to touch for a moment. Exhaling, arms down to your side. Beautiful. Keeping our feet both grounded into the mat, close together, either touching or pretty close together. Inhaling, arms up to the sky, gently sitting back, coming into chair position. So sitting back like we're sitting into a chair, knees trying not to come forward from your toes. Your spine is straight, even though hinged, and your arms are also straight. Creating a lot of heat in your thighs, in your core. Try to go lower, lower, lower. One more breath. Then inhale, engaging both feet, pressing up. Exhaling, hands to your side. Beautiful. And we'll settle into our standing pose here. Hands at our side, engaging our feet again. Really just kind of sinking in for a moment. Checking in with what all is engaged on the mat to allow us to stand upright. So all toes are pressed into the mat, all corners of our feet. Appreciating our balance here as we move into a one-legged balance. So hands maybe come to hips to start. Bring all your weight into that left foot. And then come up just onto your right toes. Maybe lift up those toes so it's hovering. And then maybe place that right foot somewhere on your left leg. Can be down by your ankle, can be just on top of your foot. Just play a little bit with a balance. It doesn't matter where your leg is reaching. Just avoiding the knee joint. We don't want to press directly into that. Inhaling, arms up. Maybe you want to keep your arms up here, or maybe bring your right hand and arm beneath your left, coming into an eagle arm position. So really twisting those arms together, creating a beautiful shoulder back stretch. So we're super multitasking and really challenging ourselves. If we wiggle out of this and fall, we've all done that a million times. Just means you're going to your edge. It's great. Just come back into whatever feels good. And one more breath. And then inhaling, arms up and out of that, leg on the right comes down to the mat. And then shake it out for a moment. Just absorb what that feels like. As we play with our other side, we can have a comparison here. Hands come to our hips. Play with lifting up that left leg as we're grounded into our right. Again, placing it anywhere that feels right for you. Doesn't matter where it's landing. And then hands can be in whatever position feels good for you, by your side, at heart center, up above. Maybe play with something different than before. Or if you came into eagle arms, we can do that together on the left side. So left arm comes beneath the right, twisting at our elbows. Our forearms crisscross. Our palms come together at the center. Elbows are at the height of our shoulders, creating a beautiful shoulder stretch. So this is tree pose with eagle arms if this is the variation that you're enjoying right now. So maybe thinking about what a tree means and what being rooted means and what our right foot is currently doing to keep us upright in this wacky position. Inhaling, arms up and out of whatever you're in, exhaling them down and your left leg to meet your right. Beautiful. Coming into one more chair position, inhaling your arms up, exhaling down, sinking your bottom down into a chair pose as low as it can go. And one more solid breath. Rising up tall. And then slowly swan diving your arms down in front of you, bending your knees, and coming to a comfy seat on your mat. So I've got a blanket here because that ends up working for me. So if you've got something similar, enjoy that if you've got it. So on our seat, we're going to bring our left foot in towards our right thigh. Our right leg is long. And we really want to focus here on having our sits bones grounded into the mat. So we'll think about that as we reach our arms up. And then folding over again, our right hand comes somewhere onto our right leg. And we're reaching up and over, getting a side body stretch on the left. So if we've come too far and we're losing our left hip off the mat, come back towards center just slightly. Another round of breath. Inhaling, coming back up, shifting our position a little bit. So our shoulders now are facing over our toes. And our left foot is still pressing into our right leg. Lifting our arms up, and we're going to fold forward, reaching towards our right toes, bringing maybe a bend into the right leg. Most of us have tight hamstrings, and it's very difficult to reach over that straight leg without creating a curve in our back. So if you need to put something beneath your right knee to keep a bend in there, I invite you to do so. But just enjoying this as much as you can, and just with every breath trying to create a little bit more stretch, a little bit more length in our spine, and a little bit of a deeper hinge forward. And coming back up with our inhale, bringing that leg in and switching sides. So left leg comes out long. Our right foot is in towards our left thigh. Again, checking in with our sits bones and if we're evenly balanced on them currently. Inhaling our arms up towards the sky. Our left hand comes somewhere onto our left leg, reaching our right arm up and over. So we're reaching towards our left toes, creating a big stretch in our right side body. Remembering to send breath. Trying not to hold our breath in a pose that feels challenging. If our shoulders come up close to our ears, relax it down. Trying not to create extra strain, just length. Inhale, coming back to center. Changing our position slightly so that our chest, again, is pointed right at our left toes. Maybe we automatically bring a bend into the left leg. Maybe we try straight here, but lift your arms up overhead, again, rooted in both sits bones, and then pivot, folding forward towards those left toes. A beautiful stretch in our left leg, and our spine is straight. Maybe playing with bending your leg here and seeing how much further your upper body can move with the release of the tightness of your hamstrings. It's pretty impressive. Even if you have a strong reach, it's interesting to just try these different variations because sometimes you learn a lot about your body and yourself. Again, with every breath, try to create a little bit more length. Toes towards your nose. Starting to slow our heart rate after our flowy portion of class. Inhaling, coming back up to center. Coming to bring our feet together. Our knees are out wide into cobbler's pose. And so if you move your feet further away from your groin, it'll be a little bit less intense. The closer you bring your feet and heels towards your groin, the more of a tightness you'll feel in your hip area. So find a spot that feels not uncomfortable, but like a decent stretch for you. You should feel this pretty boldly in your hips here. So pressing your feet together and hands maybe coming onto your feet or onto your ankles, or maybe elbows are coming out to press on top of your knees. Pivoting forward, again, creating space in your spine. So instead of rounding the spine here, really finding that length and elongation and pivoting forward. So important for spinal health. We have to really take care of our back, especially our low back. So a little tip here too, if it feels quite tight, you can take blankets or pillows and raise your hips up higher. And that decreases that angle that's putting pressure there. So maybe that's something to play around with either now or at another time. So hinging forward. One more breath. Coming back up to center. Again, coming to our seat, facing forward, grounding in both sits bones. Hands coming onto our knees. Going to take a deep inhale. With our exhale, we're going to twist towards the right side. So left hand comes onto your right knee. Right hand comes behind your slow sacrum. We're twisting our whole upper body, not just our neck. Looking over back towards our right shoulder. Spinal twists are amazing. They really massage the abdominal organs, really rinse stuff out. Two more deep breaths. Inhaling, hands come back onto the knees before exhaling, switching sides. So right hand to left knee, left hand behind your low back, twisting to the left. And maybe you do feel a big difference on one side than the other. Again, just useful information without judgment. And two more breaths. Beautiful. Inhaling, coming back to center. Moving our knees and legs so that we're on the long side of our mat. So feet are pressed in, slowly bringing your upper back down towards the mat. Hugging your knees towards your chest, rocking side to side. Again, kind of massaging that sacrum. Hugging that your right knee towards your right shoulder. Left leg is down. One other twist as if we started. So left hand onto our right leg, twisting that right leg over our body. Left arm still on top of that right leg and right arm opens wide, perpendicular to the mat, and gaze follows those fingertips to the right. And one more round of breath. Then coming back to center, hugging both knees in, switching sides, right leg down, left leg in towards your left shoulder, bringing that leg across your body. Left arm opens wide, gaze follows left fingertips. One more round of breath, kind of noticing if something feels different from the start of practice towards the end. Inhaling back to center, bringing both feet to press into the mat. Knees are up towards the sky. You're about hip width distance apart here. Lifting up that right leg, putting that right ankle over top the left thigh. This is figure 4 pose we're going to move into, which is an alternative to pigeon, which is quite challenging for most of us to enter into. So this is another great hip opener that I really recommend. So maybe we hang here, and this is pretty intense for some people. Maybe you can lift that left foot off the mat. Maybe you can reach and hug that left shin. So your right hand is coming in that triangle between your legs, your left arm around your left leg. So pulling maybe that leg on the left down and using your right elbow in towards the crease of your right knee underneath and pushing that leg out, creating a really intense hip stretch. Two more rounds of breath. It's hard, but it's juicy. Inhaling that left leg down to the mat if it was raised. Bring that right leg down to meet it. Finding that alignment again, hip width distance apart. Inhaling, now bring that left leg over the right. So about your left ankle on top of the mid part of your right thigh. Maybe hanging out here, and this can be quite enough. Maybe hovering that right leg now off the mat. Or reaching for your right leg, pulling it in towards you, using your left elbow in towards the crease of your left knee. So many options here for a great hip stretch. One more deep breath. Then letting go, bring that right leg down to the mat if it was elevated, left leg down to meet it. And then open your knees out wide. We did this seated up. We can try this laying down too. Bottoms of your feet pressed together, knees are out wide. If you have time at another point and want a restorative pose, if you keep blocks or pillows underneath your knees and thighs here, you can just hang out for a while and it's amazing. Supta Baddha Konasana, supine cobbler's pose. Really beautiful one to hang out in. Hands can come to your belly or by your side. Three rounds of calming breath as we wind down. Maybe using your hands to push the legs back up, knees towards the sky. And just windshield wiping your legs. So moving them left and right, just kind of side to side. Again, massaging your low back, giving things a little wiggle. Pausing back at the center, hugging both knees in towards your chest. And then straightening them out long or finding whatever position feels good for you for coming into Shavasana, corpse pose. Maybe legs are long and hands are on your belly or your heart. It's one of my favorites. Or hands down by your side, palms facing up towards the sky. And really just coming into our place of rest. Releasing everything down. Removing all effort here. Letting your breath be natural. Returning your mind maybe to the intention of inner connection or whatever intention you set for yourself this evening. Just being present in this moment, in your mind, in your body. Feeling your whole self just relax into the mat, supported by the mat, the ground, the earth beneath you. Notice the heaviness of your eyes that are closed. Notice the weight of your head down on the mat. Releasing any tension in your jaw and your face. Shoulders relax down, fully supported by the mat. Feel your spine, your torso just melt to that space beneath you. Feel the weight of your legs pressed into the mat. And the heels, the heat of the heels into the mat. Letting everything go. I'll repeat the quote that I said at the start of class. Maintaining and cultivating compassion for oneself and for others is a necessary part of trauma stewardship. It keeps us connected to our most loving values, from which our best selves can shine through. Compassion is connected to humility, to recognizing the ways in which we are both powerful and vulnerable, and to understanding how we are interdependent on one another. Really soaking up all the restorative, relaxing qualities of this moment in Shavasana. You can hang out here for a while. And if you feel ready, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Start to bring just some gentle movements to your body, to your extremities. Maybe coming into pencil pose. So arms reach out up overhead, reaching through your fingertips, and toes are pointed out long, reaching through the bottoms of your feet, through your toes. Then bringing your knees gently in towards your belly, giving yourself a hug as you roll over to one side. And then gently pushing yourself up to a seat. Your eyes can still be closed or they can be open. And we'll just take a round of breath here together. Hands maybe on your knees or at heart center if that feels good for you. Inhaling through our nose together. Exhaling together. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here this evening. It's been wonderful to share this hour together. And please look out for more sessions to come. And you're welcome to visit my website at wildrootstudio.net, and I'll have a bunch of classes on there, hopefully upcoming for more Zoom opportunities together.